There's a number of reasons why a pond needs filtration. Ponds have filters to keep the pond safe for fish or other aquatic animals. We might want filters to keep the water clear so we can see the animals inside the pond. We also might want filters that will help reduce the overall maintenance of the pond. So this video will provide a basic overview on how pond filters work. G'day, my name is Kev, and the aim of my channel is to help people build and maintain ponds without spending a fortune. If that sounds like something that interests you, you might like to subscribe and check out my website, Ozponds.com. So first, let's quickly talk about keeping the animals inside the pond safe. A backyard pond is a closed loop system, much like an aquarium. That means that any waste, contaminants or nutrients that find their way into the pond will stay inside the pond. In our ponds, that's predominantly fish waste, uneaten food and plant materials. As the fish poo, uneaten food and plant materials break down inside the pond, they release nitrogen in the form of ammonia into the water. Ammonia is very bad for fish, so it needs to be processed. Now the good news is that there's nitrifying bacteria all around us, and they keep the water safe for the fish. These bacteria will grow on all the wet surfaces inside the pond, the rock and pebble, the plants, the liner or container. So even if you have no rock, pebble or plants, every single surface that is wet, the bacteria will grow on. And it's not only bacteria, plants and algae can also remove ammonia from the water. So you might be thinking, awesome, the bacteria grow on all the surfaces inside the pond, I'll add a few plants and everything will be perfect. Well, maybe, but you probably won't end up with the sort of pond that you were hoping for. The amount of fish or the size of the fish will impact how much ammonia is produced inside the pond. The amount of uneaten food will also increase ammonia, and lots of decaying plant material will increase ammonia. The good news is that nature always has a way of balancing itself out. So even if you don't have enough bacteria or plants, which is almost the same as saying not enough filtration, the pond will let you know. The water might turn green due to single-celled algae coming along to consume some of that ammonia. Or floating plants like duckweed will start to take over and cover the entire surface of the pond. So if we want a pond that isn't full of plants or green water, we should really add a dedicated filter whose main job is growing bacteria. You've probably heard of the term biological or biofilter. This is because the filter's job is to provide an area dedicated to bacteria that will produce ammonia, and the bacteria are living. Now there's so many ways that this can be accomplished, and it's really very easy. You can build your own filters, which is what I prefer to do, or you can buy them off the shelf. Let's just quickly look at a few different types of filters to give you an idea of how they work. Once you understand how it works, you'll see that it's very easy to filter a pond. This is a diagram for a Blagdon fountain filter. This is a plug and play option. You place it in the pond. The pump pulls the water in through a series of filter sponges, then moves it through the ceramic media and shoots the clean water back into the pond via the fountain. Basically, the filter sponges trap waste like fish poo, and the ceramic media grow the bacteria. Trapping sediments can be a good addition to your filtration, and I'll talk a bit more about that later. For now, I just want to focus on the bacteria component. You'll also notice that the filter has a UV light to kill off green single-celled algae. This is unnecessary if there's enough bacteria in relation to the ammonia being produced, and more on that in a second. Now here's a DIY filter. This is a bog filter in a barrel. On this filter, the water is pumped into the base of the filter. The water rises up through a bunch of rock and pebble. This is providing the surface area for the bacteria. And then the clean water returns to the pond via a pipe, waterfall or stream. The rock progressively gets smaller and there's a void area at the bottom, and this helps trap in small solids like fish waste, much like the sponges on the Blagdon filter we just looked at. You can also add plants to this filter, and that will further help remove ammonia and trap sediment. Now these are just two examples. There's so many ways that you can grow nitrifying bacteria and move water through these areas. I love water filtration and experimenting. In next week's video, I'll talk about pond pumps, aerators, and even no pump ponds. I'll also add some links to some of my different ponds and the different ways that they're filtered down in this description. Anyway, if you watch those videos, you'll notice that I incorporate lots of different filtration methods in each pond. For example, this simple fish pond, it has a bog filter. Now the filter is sized big enough that it could easily filter the pond, keeping the water clean, clear and healthy. But it also has plants. I should mention that plants that can extend out of the water are particularly good at removing nutrients. These are your marginal plants. The roots are in the water, but the foliage is above the water. Floating plants provide pretty much the same benefit, and they're usually very fast growing. You'll also notice lots of my ponds have rock and pebble inside them. This increases the wet surface area, therefore adding more biological filtration within the pond itself. My view is always the more filtration and the more diverse the filtration, the better. Even different areas within a filter or the pond will have different levels of oxygen, and this can create more diverse bacteria colonies that can process nitrogen in different ways. And that gets a bit more technical, but it's very fascinating. I think I have a video or two where I talk more about that, so I'll also link them in the description if you want to learn more. Every pond is different and everyone has different agenda. The filtration requirements for someone that wants to keep large koi are completely different to someone that wants to keep a few minnows. But it's good to know that even if you get it wrong, nature will help you out. You'll get green water or excessive plant growth. Then you know, okay, it's time to supersize my filter, reduce the amount of food I'm throwing in, or downsize my fish numbers. Anyway, that's the basic gist of the biological side of filtering a pond, harnessing the power of bacteria and plants in relation to the size and amount of fish will keep the pond clean, clear and healthy. I just want to mention, for me, the most consistent method of filtration for clear, clean water has been utilising a bog filter. These filters incorporate both plants and bacteria. If you want to see how I size them and create my ponds, I have a PDF available on my website, so I'll also link that in the description if you're interested. Anyway, the next thing to look at is how the filter can help reduce maintenance. When we looked at the Blagdon fountain filter, we saw the filter sponges. These are there to trap and capture sediment like fish poo. This sort of filtration is called mechanical filtration. Just like the biological filter, how much mechanical filtration you need will depend on the type of pond you have and your expectations. If you expect the pond to have very little sediment or debris on the bottom, you'll want to incorporate lots of flow through filters that can trap the sediment and debris. If you're more interested in a pond that more or less takes care of itself, you want to allow a certain amount of sediment and debris to build up, as it provides habitat for countless microorganisms that will break down the waste and provide natural live food for the fish. As I mentioned in next week's video, I want to talk about pumps and aerators. So I'll talk more about how we utilise them to maximum advantage to help with our filtration. Remember, there's so many ways to filter water and reduce maintenance, and it's not that complex. If you get it wrong, nature will help you out and let you know, and you can try again. Increasing the size or changing the type of filter isn't that difficult, even on an existing pond. I've personally made many mistakes and gone, that didn't work out like I thought it would. But once you get it right, owning a pond, or 11, is so enjoyable. But then I'm biased. I love ponds. Anyway, don't be scared to try. Start small, and once you've got it figured out, go big. I hope this was helpful and I didn't waffle on too much. If you enjoyed it, feel free to tickle the thumbs up button. Thanks for watching. See ya.